Only 12 hours left until I officially become Alexander's wife. 12 hours until our 10-year love, a lifelong engagement, finally culminates. This luxurious penthouse in the heart of Manhattan was the place we planned to build our home. Tonight, everything is strangely silent. From the balcony, the lights of New York City twinkle like an artificial galaxy, but inside me, a strange unease takes hold. I tell myself it's probably just the typical pre-wedding jitters every bride feels. The constant sound of running water comes from the bathroom. Alexander is inside. I smile and decide to check the travel suitcase one last time. It's the suitcase he said he prepared for our honeymoon in the Maldives. I just want to make sure the passports and documents are in order. I've always been this careful, and Alexander always said he loved that organized side of me. The extremely expensive designer suitcase rests next to the closet. I open the zipper to check the exterior mesh pocket. Everything seems correct, but when I lift the cloth lining of the main compartment to check the secret pocket beneath, my hand stops dead. It is slightly bulging in an abnormal way. My hands tremble as I touch a hard plastic folder, carefully hidden under the fabric. My heart pounds. This isn't my suitcase. I have no right to search it, but something, a dark premonition, compels me to continue. I pull out the folder. I feel the air around me become dense. The first document is a copy of a marriage certificate. Party A, Alexander de la Torre. I hold my breath. Party B, Sofia Romero. Sofia Romero. That name feels so familiar. I try to search my memory, but my mind is blank. And the registration date? March 15th. 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I was with him trying on wedding dresses. My throat feels dry. Beneath the marriage certificate, a black USB drive trembles in my hands. I plug it into the laptop open on the vanity. Hundreds of photos appear on the screen. No, they aren't keepsake photos. It's a complete wedding album taken by a professional photographer in San Francisco. Alexander, with that same radiant smile, that same tender gaze, but his arms are wrapped around another woman. And Sofia, dressed in a pristine wedding gown, leans shyly against his shoulder. Her happy smile is dazzling. They look like a perfect couple. They gaze at each other with that intensity I thought he reserved only for me. I feel as if someone is squeezing my chest. I quickly scroll through the photos, hoping it's a bad joke, a terrible mistake. But it's not. The third document is the itinerary for an already booked honeymoon. The destination is not the Maldives, but Tokyo, Japan. Plane tickets, tickets for the Japanese bullet train, bills for a hot springs hotel, all in his name and hers. And then the last paper slides out and falls like a final stab that shatters the little sanity I have left. A pregnancy monitoring report from a prestigious international clinic. Patient name, Sofia Romero. Date of the last consultation, 2 days ago. Result, 12-week twin pregnancy. Completely normal development. 12 weeks. That means the pregnancy began right around the time he married her. I fall to my knees on the cold floor, the folder and its documents scattered at my feet. My ears ring. I no longer hear the city's murmur. I no longer see the flickering lights. I only see the happy smiles of Alexander and Sofia. I see those 2 little lives growing in her womb. 10 years. My 10-year love turns out to be a grand farce in which I was the only actor who didn't know the script. If you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching my story of revenge from. I want to know how far it has reached. Suddenly, the water in the bathroom stops running. The door latch clicks. He's about to come out. In a rush, I gather the folder, put it back into the secret compartment of the suitcase, and close the zipper. Just a second before the bathroom door opens, Alexander steps out with a towel around his waist and his hair still dripping. He looks relaxed and happy. Seeing me sitting on the floor next to the suitcase, he smiles. "What are you doing there with that startled look, my love? Nervous about tomorrow again?" He approaches and leans down to embrace me. I move away, trying to force a smile. I was just checking the passports in case we forgot something. Silly Erica, I've taken care of everything. Alexander gently strokes my head, his smile still intact. Come on, let's go to sleep early. Tomorrow you have to be the most beautiful bride in the world. The most beautiful bride. Those words now sound like an insult. I nod, feigning tiredness, and get into bed, pulling the duvet up to my face. Alexander doesn't notice anything strange, or perhaps he simply doesn't care. He turns off the light, and soon his steady breathing resonates beside me. But I can't sleep. In the darkness, my tears flow uncontrollably. Sofia Romero. That name repeats in my head over and over, and then the memories rush back. I remember now. Sofia, the young woman Alexander's family had taken in years ago. I recall that Sofia was the daughter of his father's business partner who had gone bankrupt. The family failed. Sofia's father, desperate, made a fatal decision, leaving behind his wife and young daughter. Alexander's mother, Catherine, out of compassion, welcomed Sofia into their home, raising her as one of the family. At the time, I thought Catherine was a woman of great heart and generosity. Sofia was a few years younger than us, always with a fragile and vulnerable air, always timidly lowering her head to call Alexander brother and me Sister Erica. I even felt sorry for her situation. When Alexander was cold, even distant with Sofia, I used to scold him. I remember telling him once, "Don't be so hard on her, Alexander. The poor girl has suffered enough." At that moment, he just frowned and looked at me strangely. "You don't understand, Erica. That girl isn't as simple as you think. It's better you keep your distance." I thought he was overly suspicious. I thought he was a good man who knew how to maintain boundaries. I trusted him blindly. It turns out that coldness wasn't rejection. It was a sophisticated performance to deceive me. He wasn't protecting me from Sofia. He was protecting Sofia from my attention. All the details start to fall into place with terrifying clarity. 3 months ago, Alexander told me he had to fly urgently to Singapore to sign a crucial contract. A contract that could decide the future of the entire company. He was away for almost a week. It turns out that was when he took Sofia by the arm to register their marriage. A month ago, he said he had to go supervise a new resort project in San Francisco. The work was very stressful. He even sent me photos of boring design blueprints. It turns out he was busy taking romantic wedding photos with his legal wife. For the honeymoon, he spoke of the white sandy beaches of the Maldives, but secretly booked tickets to Tokyo with Sofia. A perfect plan, a deception calculated down to the last detail. The man I have loved for 10 years, whom I trusted more than myself, turns out to be a masterful director. He was planning the wedding of the century with me while simultaneously building a small family with another woman. The initial pain transforms into a chill running down my spine. I realize that not only have I been betrayed, but I've been treated like an idiot, like a pawn on his chessboard. But why? If he already had Sofia, if he was already expecting a child with her, why orchestrate this wedding with me? Alexander's steady breathing beside me now sounds repulsive. The same breathing that for 10 years had given me a sense of peace now resembles the screech of time's wheels crushing my heart. I spend the whole night motionless with my eyes open, staring at the ceiling, trying to find an answer to a single question. Why? If he loved Sofia, had a child with her, and had secretly married her, why keep me by his side? Why spend a fortune on such a lavish wedding? Was he planning to keep me in the light and Sofia in the shadows? Or did he think I was so stupid I would never find out? All hypotheses were meaningless until a distant memory flashed in my mind. My father, before he passed away, was a top-tier attorney for Alexander's grandfather. His grandfather was an old magnate, a business fox who had single-handedly built a powerful conglomerate. My father and the old man had a deep friendship that went beyond a simple professional relationship. I remember once, after a few drinks, my father took my hand and said, "Erica, I know you love Alexander very much, but remember his family is complicated, especially his grandfather's will. The old man only trusts you." At the time, I laughed, thinking my father worried excessively, but now every one of his words resonates with perfect clarity. My father told me that Alexander's grandfather didn't trust anyone, not even his own descendants. He feared that his life's work would be destroyed by incompetence or by wrong marriages. That's why his will had a special clause. Alexander, his grandson and main heir, had to legally marry me, Erica Vargas, before turning 30 to inherit 100% of the group's shares. And tomorrow, our wedding day, is precisely Alexander's 30th birthday. I get it. I get everything. It's not about love, it's about hundreds of millions of dollars. My 10-year love story turns out to be only a necessary and sufficient condition in his inheritance contract. If he doesn't marry me, he loses everything. Worse, the will also specified that if he was found to have committed bigamy or had children out of wedlock before marrying me, the inheritance clause would also be immediately annulled. A chill runs down my back. I'm not facing a simple traitor but an organized swindler. He has committed bigamy. He needs this wedding with me to legalize his inheritance, to deceive the shareholders and the family council. And now I also understand why that folder appeared in the suitcase. It wasn't carelessness. It was a trap. Sophia, that weak sister, left it there on purpose for me to find. What did she want me to do? She wanted me to become insane with jealousy and cancel the wedding at the last minute. If I canceled the wedding, Alexander wouldn't fulfill the will's condition and would lose all his fortune. But at the same time, he would be rid of me, and Sophia, as the only legal wife, could be with him openly, killing two birds with one stone. She wanted to destroy both of us. They have underestimated me. They thought I would cry, despair, and rush to confront him, as I used to do when we argued over silly things in college. But they don't know that this ultimate betrayal hasn't crushed me. It has awakened me in a terrifying way. Carefully, I get out of bed. I walk barefoot on the cold oak floor. I go out to the living room. The city lights are still shining, but to me, they are nothing more than soulless smudges. I grab my phone. The screen lights up. 3:00 a.m. I dial the number of Anna, the director of the event planning company, the person who has worked directly with me for the past 6 months. It rings twice. On the other end, a sleepy voice answers. "Hello, Erica, what's wrong? Is it urgent?" I take a deep breath, trying to make my voice sound normal, even a little cheerful. "Anna, I'm sorry to bother you at this hour. I'm so nervous I can't sleep. I just had an idea. I want to give Alexander a very big surprise." "What surprise at this hour, dear?" Anna sounds more awake. "Tomorrow's wedding," I say with false enthusiasm, "is still planned as scheduled. Everything is the same, but I want to change the commemorative video at the beginning a little. I just finished another video that is more emotional, more meaningful. I'm sending you the file right now. Could you change it for me? And please, make sure Alexander doesn't find out anything, okay?" After hanging up, I sit in the darkness of the living room. This penthouse, valued at several $1,000,000, which was supposed to be the symbol of Alexander's success and our future, now feels like nothing more than a golden cage. I remember how happy I was when he proposed to me here, promising me a family with children's laughter. It all turns out to be a very well-produced play. Sophia wants me to cancel the wedding, but I won't. I'll give her a gift so she thinks she has won. I look towards the vanity, where the dark blue velvet box with the wedding rings is. They are a pair of diamond rings that Alexander boasted he commissioned from a famous artisan in Antwerp with a design that took half a year. He said they symbolized our unique love. What a sweet lie. I pick up the velvet box, feeling the cold of the metal and the precious stones. I open the phone and access a high-end urgent messaging app, one of those that allows scheduling delivery to the minute. Recipient address. I write the address of the luxury apartment where Sophia lives. I know it because Alexander once dropped a building management bill. When I asked him, he dismissed it, saying it was a company apartment to house important partners who needed privacy. Another lie. Delivery time. 9:00 a.m. tomorrow, just when brides start to get their makeup done. I leave the note for the recipient blank, But I open an anonymous messaging app and send a message to Sophia's number, a number I also managed to photograph from Alexander's agenda, saved as Little Sister. The message is brief. Only the one who deserves it can wear it. I want Sophia to receive these rings. I want her to think I've discovered everything, that I'm devastated, and that I've decided to give up. I want her to believe I've admitted my defeat, that I'm returning the symbol of our commitment. When a woman receives her rival's wedding rings just before the ceremony, what will she think? She'll think she has won. She will confidently put on her wedding dress, put on that ring, and come to the ceremony to claim the man who is hers, and I need her to do exactly that. Once everything is done, I return to the bedroom. The night is still long, but I can't waste another second crying. I open the laptop. I plug in the USB drive full of evidence of Alexander's betrayal. Hundreds of wedding photos, the marriage certificate, the plane tickets, and the twin pregnancy report. I don't just copy them. I meticulously organize them, inserting them into a presentation. I choose a soft soundtrack, the same one Alexander had chosen for the ceremony. I start the video with images of our 10 years together, innocent and pure memories. And suddenly, I insert the image of his marriage certificate with Sophia. Then, their happy wedding photos are interspersed with the passionate love messages he sent me on the very same dates. I work like a machine, without emotion, without hesitation. With every photo of Sophia I insert, my heart hardens a little more. And when I place the twin pregnancy ultrasound as the final image, I know the surprise I've prepared for Alexander is complete. I upload the entire video file to a secure cloud server and send the link to Anna along with a note. Remember, Anna, totally secret. It's all my effort and my heart. The dawn begins to break on the horizon. I've been up all night, but my mind is incredibly lucid. I have erased all traces. I put the USB drive back in its place inside the folder and hide it again at the bottom of the suitcase as if no one had touched it. When it's fully light, I hear Alexander move in bed. I close my eyes, pretending to sleep deeply. He gets up carefully, probably to let me rest a little longer. Small noises in the kitchen indicate he's making breakfast. This man, even while deceiving me in the cruelest way, can perfectly play the role of a perfect future husband. A moment later, he enters the bedroom with a small tray and gently wakes me up. My love, wake up and eat breakfast. Today is your day. You have to eat well to be the most beautiful bride. I truly wonder if you were in my place, what would you do? Would you choose to be quiet to maintain peace? Or would you dare to face everything to reclaim your voice? I want to know your opinion because every story is like a candle that can light the way for someone else. I rub my eyes and smile, a smile I practiced all night, the smile of the happiest woman in the world. On the tray is a heart-shaped fried egg, my favorite, and freshly squeezed orange juice. Thank you, sweetheart, I say in a sweet voice. Alexander sits on the edge of the bed watching me eat. His voice is full of false tenderness. Eat, go on. Lately, I've been so busy, always traveling for business, with little time to take care of you. After the wedding on the honeymoon, I'll make it up to you. Make it up to me. Hearing those words from his mouth turns my stomach. He was busy. Yes, busy marrying another woman, busy taking wedding photos with his new wife, busy taking care of her and her twin pregnancy. I feel a wave of nausea, but I force myself to swallow that false heart-shaped egg. I look up and stare at him. I look closely at the man I have loved for 10 years. It's the same face, the same tender gaze. How can someone hide such a monstrous secret and maintain such composure? He doesn't feel an ounce of remorse or a little guilt. Honey, I say, trying to sound normal. I'm a little nervous. Nervous? Why? He smiles, stroking my hair. I'm afraid. Afraid of not being the most beautiful bride. The wedding is so big with so many important guests. I'm afraid of not doing well. Alexander laughs, a laugh full of confidence. What nonsense are you talking about? You're my bride. Of course you'll be the most beautiful. I'll take care of everything. You just have to be gorgeous and happy. I lean my head on his shoulder one last time. Happiness. That word has become the bitterest joke since last night. I've eaten the breakfast of lies. I have to play my part until the end. I look at the man in front of me, the man I once thought was my whole world, the safe haven of my life. Now he is nothing more than a stranger, a brilliant actor in a play directed by himself. And I, from being the romantic protagonist, will now become the director of the final act of this play. I finish the last bite. I praise him for how delicious it was, for being as thoughtful as I have been for the past 10 years. I still trust him. I still love him. But this is the last time. I don't know if he noticed anything different in my smile. Probably not, because in his eyes right now is only the image of the immense fortune that awaits him after this ceremony is over. I get up and stretch. I'm going to take a shower. The makeup team is about to arrive. Of course, my love, he smiles. I enter the bathroom and lock the door. I turn the faucet on full blast. The sound of the water drowns out the screams of my soul. I look at myself in the mirror, my eyes swollen from a sleepless night, but with a cold, determined, terrifying look. At 8:00 a.m., just as planned, the doorbell rings. The makeup artist and his team have arrived. Alexander opens the door for them, receiving them enthusiastically. I come out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel and smile at everyone. "Erica, you look beautiful," exclaims the young makeup assistant. I smile weakly. I know I have to leave here immediately. I can't bear to sit for hours while they paint my face, feigning joy in front of Alexander. I can't share the same space with him for another minute. I need a safe place, a place where I can breathe and prepare the last steps. I turn to Alexander, using the capricious tone of a bride about to get married. "Alexander, tell me." My life turns with that same radiant smile. "I'm very nervous," I say, gripping the towel tightly. "With so many people here, I can't concentrate. What if I go to the hotel and get ready there?" Alexander frowns slightly. "To the hotel? Why? It's more comfortable here." "No," I shake my head. "I want to give you a surprise. I want to keep my bridal look a secret until the last moment. I want you to be the most surprised of all when I walk into the ceremony." I emphasize the words surprised and of all. I've booked a suite at the hotel that's right next to the celebration venue. It's spacious. It has beautiful light. The photos will look even better than here. I'm going there with the team right now. I've already asked for my dress to be taken there. And don't come. I forbid you. If you come, I'll be really angry. I see a flash of surprise in Alexander's eyes, followed immediately by clear relief. I can read his thoughts. He breathes a sigh of relief. He was probably also worried that Sophia might appear in this very apartment to make a scene. The fact that I disappear on my own to another location, a public and better protected place, is something he couldn't have wished for more. It makes it easier for him to control the situation here and prevents me from meeting Sophia if she decides to come. He is creating a false safe zone for me without knowing that he has just freed his prey from the cage. "All right, my love." He laughs heartily and approaches to hug me. "Whatever it takes to make you happy. Today, everything is as you wish." He kisses me on the forehead, a kiss that feels cold to the bone. I try not to shudder. "Then I'll leave now. You get ready here and go to the ceremony venue earlier," I say hastily, letting go of his embrace. I turn to the makeup team. "Sorry for the inconvenience. We're going to the hotel. My things are in the other room. Can you help me carry them?" I quickly put on a simple dress and grab the bag I prepared last night. Inside, I only carry my cell phone, wallet, passport, and a small external hard drive with all the evidence. I walk out the door, waving goodbye to Alexander. "See you at the altar, my love." "Yes, see you at the altar. I love you." He also waves with a satisfied smile. The heavy metal elevator door closes slowly, hiding his fake smile and his guilty gaze. As soon as the door closes, the smile on my face vanishes. I arrive at the luxurious hotel suite, just a few steps from the wedding venue. The room is huge, with large windows that offer a panoramic view of the city. The makeup team quickly sets up their tools. The smell of cosmetics, the hum of the hairdryer, everything should evoke the excitement of a bride, but my heart only feels a glacial calm. Just as I sit in the makeup chair, my usual phone number starts vibrating. It's my future husband's mother, Catherine. "Hello, Catherine," I answer, trying to keep my voice normal. "Erica, where are you?" Catherine's voice on the other end sounds urgent, hurried, very different from her usual calm. "I'm at the hotel getting ready. What's wrong?" "Which room?" "Send me the address right now. I need to talk to you alone for a moment. Hurry." She speaks as if giving an order and hangs up abruptly before I can respond. I frown. She's also starting to act. I send her the room number and turn to the makeup artist. "Excuse me, could you step out for coffee for 15 minutes? My mother-in-law wants to come talk to me in private." They all kindly accept. The room falls silent again. Less than 10 minutes later, the doorbell rings. Catherine enters. She isn't wearing the elegant mother-of-the-groom dress I helped her choose, but an expensive silk housecoat set. Her face is lightly made up, but her eyes betray an uncontrollable anxiety. She slams the door shut and quickly walks over to grab my hand. Her hand is ice cold. "Oh, Erica, I'm so worried. I didn't sleep a wink last night. I kept having a bad feeling. I had to come see how you were." I look at the woman I once respected, whom I considered my second mother. She's playing her part perfectly. She knows everything. She knows about Sophia, about the pregnancy, but here she is, holding my hand and telling me she's worried. Catherine takes an old dark red brocade box out of her purse. She opens it. Inside is a jade bracelet of intense color and exquisite transparency, of incalculable value. With trembling hands, she puts it on my wrist. The bracelet is ice cold against my skin. "It's the family bracelet from Alexander's grandmother," Catherine sobs. "I've kept it for decades, waiting for this day to give it to my son's wife. With this on, you are officially part of the De La Torre family." I look at the jade bracelet. It's beautiful, but it weighs like handcuffs. I remain silent, waiting to see what else she has to say. Catherine grabs both my hands, lowering her voice, adopting a solemn and mysterious tone. "Erica, I know you're a sensible girl. You and Alexander have loved each other since childhood. Your love is deep. But men, you know, especially before such an important day, have a lot of pressure, many complicated relationships." She pauses and looks me directly in the eyes, pronouncing every word. Later at the ceremony, no matter what happens, no matter what you hear, no matter what you see, you have to trust Alexander blindly. Do you hear me? Everything he does for the good of this family. She squeezes my hands tightly. "Promise me, dear. The De La Torre family is very lucky to have a daughter-in-law like you. Don't let anyone from outside ruin this day for us." I understand. It's not advice. It's a warning, a preparation. She fears Sophia will come to cause a scandal and has come to give me a tranquilizer in advance so that, no matter what I see, I grit my teeth and go ahead with the wedding so her son can receive the inheritance. Slowly, I withdraw my hands from hers, look up, and smile, the sweetest smile of an obedient daughter-in-law. "I understand, Catherine. Don't worry. I won't disappoint you. No matter what happens, I'll make sure today is perfect." Catherine sighs with relief, as if a great weight has been lifted. "Good, very good. I trust you." She gets up hastily, straightening her clothes. "Well, I'm going to get ready. You put on your makeup too, so you're not late." She leaves as quickly as she came. As soon as the door closes, the smile disappears from my face. I take off the jade bracelet and leave it on the table. I call the team back. The makeup artist begins his work. I close my eyes and let them paint my face. I try to keep my mind blank, the smell of makeup, the gentle brush strokes on my skin. I am like a wooden doll, letting myself be carried away. Much later, when everything was finished, I knew that at the very moment Catherine was handing me that icy bracelet, in another luxury apartment not far away, another scene of the drama was reaching its climax. Exactly at 9:00 a.m., the doorbell of Sophia's apartment rings. She, having spent the night awake between anxiety and anticipation, rushes to open it. A courier hands her a dark blue velvet box, exactly the same type as the one for the wedding rings Alexander had chosen. Inside, the pair of diamond rings shine. Immediately after, Sophia's phone receives the anonymous message I had sent. Only the one who deserves it can wear it. Sophia is stunned. According to what Anna later investigated, Sophia immediately believed I had discovered everything. She thought I was too hurt and humiliated and had decided to flee. This gift was my surrender, my return of the commitment. Victory was within her grasp. The first thing Sophia did was call Alexander. She wanted to confirm her triumph, but at that hour, Alexander was busy receiving important guests in the lobby. He couldn't answer. The unanswered call was the clearest confirmation for Sophia. Alexander was distraught because the bride had fled. This was her chance. Anna told me that Sophia didn't waste a second. She immediately called Anna herself, the wedding planner. Sophia's voice sounded full of panic and compassion. "Anna, it's Sophia. Something terrible has happened. Erica found out about me and Alexander. She's gone. The wedding can't be canceled. The guests are all very important people, and there's the grandfather's will. If Alexander loses the inheritance, he'll kill me." Sophia was crying on the phone, perfectly playing the victim, and Anna, whom I had carefully instructed the night before, also played her part. She shouted into the phone, loud enough for Sophia to believe everything. "Oh my God, really, we're lost. What do we do now? The guests are already here." "Anna," Sophia rushed, I'll be the substitute bride. I can't let Alexander lose everything. I'm on my way. I have a wedding dress too. Please prepare everything for me. It will be like I'm saving Alexander." Okay, Sophia," Anna replied in a pressing voice. "Come right away. I'll take care of everything." The call ended. Sophia breathed a sigh of relief. She had achieved her goal. Anna told me that Sophia opened her closet. A spectacular wedding dress hung there, a dress she had secretly commissioned long ago, waiting for this day. She put on the dress, carefully applied her own makeup, and finally put the diamond ring I had sent her, the ring of the real bride, on her ring finger. Sophia looked at herself in the mirror, a smile of victory on her lips. She didn't know that dress, that ring, and that smile were all part of my plan. I open my eyes. The makeup artist is finished. "Erica, you look incredible," exclaims the young assistant. I look at myself in the mirror. A perfectly made-up face, beautiful but cold, eyes without a single ripple of emotion. I am not wearing a wedding dress. I am still in my simple street dress. I stand up and look at the clock. 10:03 a.m. Guest reception has begun. I know because my phone starts vibrating non-stop from my suite. It's Alexander. The name My Love flashes on the screen, a name I saved 10 years ago. Now, seeing it, I only feel irony. I don't answer. I let it ring. Each tone is like an urgent, desperate call. The phone vibrates on the glass table, creating a jarring sound. He calls again and again. 4, 5 calls. When I don't answer, the phone starts vibrating non-stop with messages. "Erica, where are you? Why aren't you answering? The guests are already arriving." I read the messages but don't reply. I can imagine his face right now. Confusion, worry, and perhaps a little fear. Fear that his plan will fail. Another message arrives. "Are you angry about something? Answer me. Don't joke, Erica. Today is our big day." Our big day. I feel immense bitterness. I pick up the phone, and my fingers glide over the keyboard. After 10 years together, I know him too well. He is an arrogant man. He needs assurance that everything is still under control. I write a message with the same capricious tone of an angry bride. I'm preparing the biggest surprise of your life. Don't look for me. I'll show up on my own. I guarantee you'll never forget it. I hit send. In a few seconds, the blue double check appears. He has read it instantly, and his reply arrives instantly. I can feel the relief in every one of his words. What a surprise. You almost scared me to death. I have a surprise for you too. I love you. Hurry up. Everyone is waiting. Tell me whether you have parents, grandparents, or older family members who deserve more respect than they currently receive from their families. Alternatively, tell me if you yourself are going through a situation in which you're not appreciated as much as you truly deserve. I love you. 3 words. Even now, he is capable of writing them so easily. He thinks I'm just angry about something trivial, that I'm still the lovesick fool who runs after him. He has no idea. The surprise I'm talking about is, in fact, a gift he won't forget for the rest of his life. I look at the words "I love you" on the screen. It's the last time. I don't answer again. I calmly turn off the phone. Then I open the SIM card slot, the SIM card that has been with me for 10 years, containing so many messages, so many of our calls. I pick it up with 2 fingers and break it in half. I drop the 2 pieces into a glass of water on the table. They slowly sink to the bottom. All communication is officially cut off. I am no longer Erica, Alexander de la Torre's fiancée. I am Erica, a free woman. I pick up the secondary phone I had prepared. A new phone, a new SIM card with a single contact, Anna, my best friend, who is also at the wedding as a guest. It's 11:00 a.m. I'm not at the ceremony. I'm sitting in a luxury cafe on the hotel rooftop, right across from the celebration venue. From my secluded table, I can see the magnificent ballroom below, where guests are streaming in, but I don't need to look with my own eyes. On my secondary phone, I open a secret live streaming link. The screen lights up. It's Anna's camera angle. She is sitting in a discreet spot near the sound booth, exactly as we planned. The banquet hall is as splendid as I designed it myself. Imported white flowers, my favorite, form large arrangements covering the stage, creating the feeling of a winter fairy tale garden. Dazzling crystal chandeliers and 500 guests. I sweep my gaze across the screen. I recognize them. They are not our intimate friends. They are the members of the group's board of directors. They are important business partners from all over. They are key shareholders who hold the decisive vote on Alexander's future. This is not a wedding. It's a demonstration of power, the presentation of the heir. Anna's camera moves to the stage. There stands Alexander de la Torre, elegant in a custom-made tuxedo, a happy and confident smile on his face. But I, who have been by his side for 10 years, recognize the tension in the way he constantly adjusts his bow tie. He ceaselessly looks towards the main entrance where the bride should enter. Then he looks towards the front row. Catherine is sitting there in a burgundy mother-of-the-groom dress, but her face is rigid. Her hands tightly grip her designer purse. Mother and son are nervous, not because of waiting for the bride, but for the moment the will becomes effective. A famous presenter steps onto the stage. His voice booms. Let's give a warm welcome to all our distinguished guests and partners who have come to celebrate the great day of the groom, Mr. Alexander de la Torre, and the bride, Ms. Erica Vargas. Applause erupts. Anna sends me a message. He just asked if I had seen you. I told him you were preparing a big surprise. He smiled with satisfaction. I smile. The presenter continues. They have shared a 10-year journey of love, a modern fairy tale, and now before welcoming our beautiful bride, we invite you to direct your gaze to the gigantic LED screen behind them to see a very special video that captures the most memorable moments of their love story. Anna's camera focuses closely on Alexander's face. He takes a deep breath, puffs out his chest, and adjusts his jacket. He puts on his most radiant smile, the one that once made me fall in love, ready to receive the congratulations and admiring glances of those 500 people. He looks up at the 100-square-meter screen behind him, waiting. The hall lights dim, leaving only a spotlight on the screen. A soft melody begins to play, the same one I had chosen. I raise my cup of tea and take a deep breath. I send a message to Anna. Start. I sip the now cold chamomile tea. The taste is slightly bitter, but it helps me maintain a strange calm. On my phone screen, Anna's camera continues to transmit clear images. The hall lights dim. The soft melody resonates. Yes, it's the music I chose. The gigantic 100-square-meter LED screen behind Alexander lights up. The first images are a photo of us when we were 7 years old. 2 children with dirty faces in front of the school. Photos of our 10 years of engagement follow. Adolescents in high school uniforms, naive college days, our first trips together after graduation. Through the screen, I see Alexander smile, a smile of satisfaction and pride. He is immersed in his perfect script. He thinks this is the sweet surprise video I prepared. I see him look towards the front row, where important shareholders nod in approval. A fairy tale love story, perfect for consolidating the heir's position. Murmurs of admiration begin to spread. What a rare love nowadays. The girl is beautiful and thoughtful. I smile. The main course is about to be served. The music, which was at its climax, suddenly changes tone and stops. The screen goes black for a second. I hear a murmur of concern among the guests. Alexander's smile freezes. He turns to look at the screen, then looks towards the technical booth with a frown. He probably thinks it's a technical glitch. And then the screen lights up again. It's not a photo of our memories, but a full-size wedding photo. Alexander, in a black tuxedo, has his arm around the waist of another woman in a white wedding dress. The background is the dreamy landscape of San Francisco. The entire hall falls silent, followed immediately by an explosion of astonished murmurs. Who is that? Did they use the wrong video? That's not the bride, is it? She looks familiar. Anna's camera focuses on Alexander. His smile has vanished. He is petrified, his face pale, his eyes wide, fixed on the screen. He unconsciously takes a step back, shaking his head. No, it's not a mistake, darling, I murmur to myself. I see Catherine in the front row sitting bolt upright, her hands clutching the back of the seat in front of her. Her face has lost all color. The video doesn't stop. It continues projecting a series of wedding photos. Alexander and Sophia passionately kissing by the Golden Gate Bridge. Alexander lifting Sophia in his arms in a meadow. Hundreds of photos capturing every moment of their happiness. A happiness built on my deception. Oh my God, isn't that Sophia, the De La Torres protégé? A voice exclaims loud enough for Anna's camera to catch it. Alexander panics. He turns towards the technical booth, raises his hand and shouts, "Stop! Turn that off! Turn it off now!" But his voice is drowned out by the music. A new melody begins, a sad, mournful tune, like a requiem for my 10 years of love. Alexander's shouts are useless. Anna, following my instructions, has had someone lock the door to the sound and light control room. Even if Alexander pounds on the door, no one can intervene. The gigantic LED screen continues its work, mercilessly revealing the truth. After the romantic series of wedding photos, the screen changes to a white background, and then a crisp scan of the marriage certificate appears. Party A, Alexander de la Torre. Party B, Sofia Romero. Date of registration, 3 months ago. The red seal of the registry office is like a bloodstain hitting the eyes of the 500 guests. If before they were murmurs, now the hall is chaos. My God, he married her. Really, I can't believe it. And today's wedding, what is it? It's bigamy. This boy is crazy. He's laughing at the law and all of us. I clearly hear a senior shareholder, whom I called Uncle Javier, pound the table hard. A scandal, an unacceptable scandal. What kind of business does this family do? Anna's camera refocuses on Alexander. He is no longer shouting. He is trembling. He stumbles backward, hitting the white flower arrangements, causing the delicate petals to fall onto his expensive tuxedo. He looks at his mother. Catherine tries to stand up, but her legs shake, and she collapses into the seat. The video is not over yet. Next screen. The Japan honeymoon itinerary, round-trip business-class plane tickets in the name of Alexander de la Torre and Sofia Romero, bills from a luxury hotel with onsen in Japan, bullet train tickets, all the evidence of the business trip to Singapore he lied to me about. I remember those nights alone at home, worried about him, sending him messages to take care of himself abroad. Meanwhile, he was embracing his new wife, soaking in hot springs, contemplating cherry blossoms. A bitter taste rises in my throat. So this was his hard work. This was his sacrifice for the company. I admired him for it. I felt lucky to love such a talented, ambitious, and hard-working man. It turns out I was just an idiot, painting a perfect model in my mind and drowning in it. The contempt I feel now is greater than the pain. I despise him. I despise Catherine, and I despise Sophia. But above all, I despise myself for these last 10 years. The guests, in their elegant suits and expensive jewelry, no longer maintain their composure. They have stood up. Many phones are raised, pointing directly at the stage, recording the entire humiliating scene. They are shareholders. They are partners. They don't just see a love scandal, they see the fall of an heir. They see deception in business. If Alexander can deceive the woman he's been with for 10 years, he can deceive them too. Trust, the most valuable thing in business, has been shattered. The screen goes dark again. The murmurs in the hall are so loud they drown out the mournful background music. People think the play is over, but no, I still have my last gift. After a few seconds of deathly silence, the screen lights up again. This time there are no wedding photos or plane tickets, just a single sheet of paper enlarged to the maximum. It's an ultrasound report from an international clinic, patient name, Sofia Romero. And the final conclusion, which I have deliberately highlighted with a bright red circle. Ultrasound result, twin pregnancy. 12-week-old fetus, normal development. If the marriage certificate was a bomb, the twin pregnancy report is a nuclear explosion. The 500 guests hold their breath in unison. Absolute silence, so heavy that I can feel it through the live stream. Twins. Not just one child, but twins. He already had heirs with another woman before marrying me. Through Anna's camera, I see Alexander. He is no longer trembling. He is simply standing there, motionless. He stares fixedly at the words, twin pregnancy on the screen. His face is devoid of a drop of blood. I see Catherine. She has fainted. People around her try to revive her. And then, just as planned, the music stops completely. In that deadly silence, my voice resonates, clear, calm, and amplified by the hall's expensive sound system. Congratulations, Alexander de la Torre. This gift, I hope you like it. My voice, the voice he has heard for 10 years, is now as cold as a stab. I pause. I hope you like it. As soon as I finish speaking, the gigantic LED screen goes dark. Immediately, the hall turns into utter chaos. Shouts, insults, the noise of chairs and tables overturned. Everyone is standing, phones raised like mushrooms. They record Alexander. They record the fainted Catherine. They record the shareholders pounding the tables with faces purple with rage. Anna sends me a message with trembling letters. Erica, it's over. This is chaos. Catherine fainted. Shareholders are calling their lawyers. I look at the scene. I don't feel satisfaction. I don't feel victory, only an infinite emptiness. My 10 years of youth have been buried with great pomp, with the presence of 500 witnesses. Suddenly, Anna's camera shakes violently. It quickly turns towards the main entrance of the hall. Anna shouts in a voice message, "Oh my God, Erica! Sophia, she really came! She's here in the wedding dress!" Just at that moment, in the eye of the hurricane, while Alexander remains like a broken statue on the stage, and Catherine is being attended to, the main doors of the hall, through which I should have entered, open wide. There stands Sophia under an arch of white flowers, resplendent in an expensive strapless wedding dress, her hair up in a high bun, perfectly made up, and on her ring finger, the very same diamond ring I sent her shines. She arrives like a queen ascending the podium of glory. Through the stream, I see Sophia take a deep breath. She doesn't see the chaos inside. She doesn't see the guests' horrified faces. She only sees her man standing on the stage. She probably arrived right after the video finished. She hears the commotion and thinks it's because of my escape, just as she had planned it. She thinks this is her moment, the moment to come out and rescue Alexander from the scandal and claim her place. She has received the ring. She has received confirmation from Anna by phone. She is 100% sure that I am the loser. With the most radiant smile, the smile of a victor, Sophia begins to walk down the white carpet covered with petals. 500 pairs of eyes, horrified by the bigamy scandal, now turn towards her. Their gazes are not of admiration, but of curiosity, contempt, and even pity. "My God, it's her!" someone exclaims. "The girl from the video, the pregnant one. What nerve to come all the way here?" The murmurs rise again, louder than before. Sophia's smile begins to freeze. She realizes something is wrong. Why is everyone looking at her like that? Why is no one applauding? And why? Why is Alexander, her man, looking at her with those eyes? It's not the look of relief of someone who has been saved. It's a look of hatred, the look of a cornered beast seeing the one who pushed him into the abyss. But Sophia has already covered half the distance. She can't turn back. She continues trying to smile. Her voice trembles, but she forces herself to speak loudly. "Alexander, I'm here. I've come." She still believes I have fled and that she has come to take my place. Alexander looks at her, his legal wife, the mother of his twins, the person who has brought him to ruin. Sophia continues to climb onto the stage, extending her hand towards Alexander with a dramatic voice, like in a telenovela. "Alexander, don't be afraid. I'm here. I am your true wife." She barely finishes speaking, and the hall explodes. I remain motionless in the rooftop cafe. Through the phone screen, the scene in the wedding hall resembles the worst tragicomedy. Sophia's phrase, "I am your true wife," rings stridently over the speakers. It's like a lit match thrown into a barrel of gunpowder called Alexander. I see him, the man I loved for 10 years, the one who had never raised his voice to me. Now his face is disfigured by rage, humiliation, the collapse of his inheritance plan, the shameful exposure before 500 people. Everything piles up. And Sophia, his legal wife, the mother of his twins, chooses precisely this moment to appear as the final living proof, annihilating any hope of denial. He looks at her not with the eyes of a husband, but with those of an enemy. "Leave." I don't hear the word clearly due to the distance of Anna's camera, but I read his lips. A single word, spat through clenched teeth. Sophia is stunned. She had probably imagined Alexander would run to embrace her, that he would point to me if I were there and declare her his true love. She didn't expect to receive that word. Alexander stammers, but continues trying to approach. "I came to help you. Erica is gone." "I said leave!" This time, I hear the roar. And then something happens that I would never have dared to imagine in 10 years. Alexander, the elegant heir, my tender man, raises his hand. A slap. The sound resonates clear and sharp, drowning out the murmur of the crowd. The slap is so strong that Sophia's head sharply snaps to the side. She loses her balance. The diamond ring I sent her flies off her finger, rolling on the stage. But Alexander doesn't stop. The anger has turned him into a beast. He forcefully pushes Sophia, the woman carrying his twins. "It's all your fault. You ruined my life." Sophia is wearing high heels. The almost 2-meter-high stage is decorated with flowers and is very slippery. Alexander's push is too strong. I see Sophia lose her balance, stumble backward, and suddenly her foot misses. She falls, rolling off the stage. Her body hits the speakers and sound equipment situated right below. A dry thud is heard, followed by the screams of the guests in the front row. Everything seems to stop for a second. Sophia lies motionless on the marble floor, her exquisite white wedding dress now tangled and dirty. And then, beneath the white fabric, a trickle of red blood begins to spread, slow but unmistakable. Blood. She's bleeding. Call an ambulance, quick! She's pregnant! My God, he killed her! The hall truly explodes. Shouts, phone calls, camera flashes firing incessantly. They are no longer wedding guests. They are witnesses to a tragedy. Anna's camera focuses on Alexander. He is standing on the stage, looking at the puddle of blood below, looking at his legal wife and his unborn children. His face is empty of all emotion. I slowly turn off the live stream screen. The chaos of the hall, the screams, the image of the pool of blood, everything disappears when the phone screen darkens. The space around me becomes strangely silent. The rooftop cafe continues with its soft jazz music. The wind caresses my hair. I sit for a while longer, looking at the street below. Traffic flows normally. The city keeps moving. It doesn't stop for anyone's tragedy, and I also have to continue with my life. I call the waiter and pay for the now cold chamomile tea. I pick up my small carry-on suitcase and enter the elevator. No one recognizes me. The woman in a simple dress and sunglasses is actually the bride of the disastrous wedding taking place in the building next door. I had reserved a car in advance. An elegant, unplated car awaits me at the hotel's back exit. I get in. The car silently blends into traffic. The driver takes me to JFK Airport. I had bought the ticket a week ago with my passport using a different bank account that Alexander was unaware of. I checked in online. It only took a few minutes to clear security. I enter the VIP lounge. Everything is quiet here. Whispered conversations, the turning of magazine pages, the soft clinking of cups, a stark contrast to the scene I just witnessed, a cruel contrast between hell and peace. I find a secluded corner and sit down. The secondary phone vibrates, a message from Anna. Erica, have you left yet? The ambulance took Sophia away. It looks serious. Alexander was paralyzed for a while and then ran out. He didn't go with the ambulance. He left his fainted mother there. He ran to the parking lot and drove off like a madman. Be careful. I'm afraid he's going to look for you. I read the message without my heart fluttering. Look for me? Why? To blame me for what he caused? I take a deep breath. I remember the last 10 years. I lived like a worker bee, building what I called our home. I turned down better career opportunities because Alexander said he didn't want me to work so hard. I shelved my dream of studying abroad because he said he didn't want a long-distance relationship. I sacrificed, I endured, I trusted blindly. I thought childhood love was the most enduring. It turns out it's also the most fragile because it's built on habit, not respect. The large screen in the departure lounge announces that my flight to Paris is about to depart, the 12:30 p.m. flight. I stand up and pick up my suitcase. I don't look back. I walk towards the boarding gate, where a new life awaits me. 10 years of youth, 10 years of love and deception. I ask permission to leave it all behind in this city. I wasn't there. I wasn't there to witness the next scene. I was in the sky, crossing the clouds towards the other side of the world. Everything that happened in the penthouse was what Anna told me later. Anna said Alexander drove like a maniac. He left Sophia in the hospital, his fainted mother at the ceremony, the 500 guests, and the disastrous mess of his family. He only had one thought: find me. Maybe he thought I was at home crying, packing, waiting to confront him, to scream at him. He still thought I was the same weak fool from 10 years ago, that with a few caresses and apologies, everything would return to normal. He ran up to the penthouse, opened the door with his key, and froze. The apartment was completely empty. Not the emptiness of a new, unfurnished house, but the emptiness of a place that has been completely emptied. The expensive Italian designer sofa, gone. The 100-inch curved TV, gone. The walnut dining table, gone. All my branded clothes in the dressing room, gone. The photos of our memories hung in the hallway, gone. Even in the bathroom, my pink toothbrush, the half-used toothpaste tube, my favorite shower gel, everything was gone. The huge apartment only echoed with the sound of his own agitated breathing. There was no trace of me, as if I had never existed in that place. Anna told me Alexander couldn't believe his eyes. He ran from room to room, The living room, the bedroom, the office, all empty. Only his own solitary and out-of-place furniture remained. That's when he saw a small note taped to the refrigerator. It was the invoice from a luxury moving and storage company. Date of service, 3 days ago. At that moment, he realized, this was not a fit of rage. It was not a hasty decision after discovering the secret last night. This was a plan, a meticulously prepared plan. He roared, a roar not of anger but of fear. For the first time in his life, the man who always thought he had everything under control realized he had been manipulated from the start. He realized that I knew. I had known for a long time. My silence of the last few days, my smile that morning, the heart-shaped breakfast, the goodbye in the elevator. It was all part of the play. He thought he was the director, but he turned out to be just an actor in my play. Anna told me that after realizing the harsh reality, Alexander lost his composure. He started trashing the house, hoping to find something, anything, a letter, a note, a trace of me. He opened every drawer, lifted every mattress, looked in every corner, but there was nothing. I had cleaned everything too well. I hired an industrial cleaning service. They had cleaned the apartment to the point that not even my familiar perfume remained, only the cold smell of disinfectant. He collapsed in the middle of the empty living room, desperately shouting my name, and then he saw it. On the glass table, where only a few hours earlier he had looked at me tenderly while I ate my last breakfast, there was only one thing left, a photo, not of a wedding or a luxury trip. It was our first photo together. A photo taken in Boston 10 years ago when we were just 19 or 20-year-old college students. In the photo, I was smiling radiantly, my eyes squinting against the late afternoon sun, and he had his arm around my shoulders with a naive and proud smile. That photo was once my treasure, the proof of a pure love. But now the photo was torn in half. Not a clean cut with scissors, but an irregular, violent manual tear, as if the person who ripped it had used all their strength. The half with my image had disappeared. The other half was still on the table. Only Alexander remained with his naive smile, embracing an empty space. Anna said Alexander picked up the half photo, trembling. He stared fixedly at the empty space beside him. He didn't cry. He simply started to laugh. A crazy, hoarse laugh that echoed throughout the empty apartment. He had understood. Not only had I left, not only had I abandoned him, but I had erased him from 10 years of my life. I had torn up the past. The half that belonged to me, I took. The half that belonged to him, I returned. I returned his falsehood, his emptiness, and a future where I would never be. Alexander squeezed the half photo so tightly that his knuckles turned white, and then he buried his face in the table. His broad shoulders, the shoulders I once thought were my world, began to tremble violently. While Alexander was collapsing next to the torn photo, I was thousands of miles away on a flight of more than 10 hours. I curled up under the thin blanket in business class, trying to sleep, but I couldn't. The image of Sophia falling, the pool of blood on the marble floor, tormented me. I didn't feel satisfaction. I only felt fear. Fear of Alexander's madness and fear of the cruelty of my own plan. Everything that happened after my departure was what Anna told me. After I settled in Paris, Anna told me Alexander didn't stay collapsed in the empty apartment for long. While he was drowning in his desperation, he received 2 phone calls. 2 calls that officially closed all the doors of his life. The first was from the hospital. An emergency room nurse with a cold voice informed him, "Are you a relative of the patient Sofia Romero? The patient suffered a severe trauma from a fall. We did everything we could, but we couldn't save the pregnancy. Both fetuses were lost. The patient also lost a lot of blood and is in critical condition. Please come to complete the paperwork immediately." Anna said Alexander only listened, his hand trembling. He didn't say a word. He just hung up. The twins, the weapon he had used to deceive me and Sophia had used to tie him down, no longer existed. He had just lost his children because of his own cruel push. But the tragedy didn't end there. He had barely processed the news when the phone rang again. This time it was an unknown but formal number. It was from the law firm that managed his grandfather's will. The family's lead attorney, an older man whom I also knew, briefly informed him without any emotion in his voice. "Mr. de la Torre, I am calling to inform you. Based on what happened this morning at the celebration in the presence of the entire board of directors and shareholders, you have seriously violated the clauses of the late chairman's will." Alexander seemed to react then. He growled in a hoarse voice. "What are you saying?" The lawyer continued calmly. "The will clearly states that you must legally marry Ms. Erica Vargas before turning 30. Today is your 30th birthday. However, your act of bigamy has been exposed, being legally married to Ms. Sofia Romero. At the same time, you have caused a serious moral scandal that directly affects the honor and brand value of the group. According to the clause, a clause, by the way, that Ms. Vargas's father advised on, we are obligated to annul your right to the inheritance." "Annul?" Alexander shouted. "That is correct, sir. As of this moment, the entirety of your controlling shares in the group will be transferred to a charitable foundation, as was the wish of the late chairman. You are no longer the majority shareholder. We are sorry." The lawyer hung up. Alexander collapsed onto the floor of the empty apartment. For 10 years, he had strived, acted, deceived me, all for this day. He wanted to have everything. The family fortune, me as a perfect trophy wife, and Sophia as a secret mistress with children. But in a single morning, in a few hours, he lost me. He lost his twins, and he lost all his fortune. He lost his past, his future, and his present. He was left with nothing but a torn half-photo in his hand. I arrived in Paris one afternoon. The city greeted me with a cold drizzle. I dragged my suitcase down a cobbled street, feeling small and lost. But strangely, I didn't feel afraid. It was the first time in 10 years I was breathing my own air. I was free. In the following days, I learned how desperate Alexander had been. After realizing he had lost everything, he didn't go to the hospital to see Sophia, nor did he go to the company to sort out the disaster. He abandoned everything. In his mind, only one obsession remained: find me. Maybe it was no longer love, but the resentment of a loser. He couldn't accept that I, the woman he always considered weak and dependent, had dealt him such a fatal blow. He had to find me, to confront me, to vent, or perhaps to prove that he could still control me. He used his last connections, the little power he had left before the news of his disinheritance spread. He called the airport security chief, friends at the airlines, asking them to review the passenger lists of all flights that left the city that day. He believed I couldn't have gone far, that I was hiding somewhere in the country, perhaps in my hometown or some tourist city, crying. And then the information reached him, but that information only drove him crazier. His contacts informed him in a confused voice, "Mr. de la Torre, it's very strange. The system registers that Ms. Vargas's passport has tickets for 10 different flights, all departing today." Alexander roared. 10 flights? To where? One to Chicago, another to Miami, another to Las Vegas, also a train ticket to Boston, a flight to Seattle, another to Denver. Alexander didn't need to hear more. He understood. I had created a smokescreen that was too dense. 10 tickets, 10 different destinations, paid for with 10 different virtual cards. He couldn't know which flight I had actually boarded. He couldn't know where in the world I was. I had used the same money he had given me for the wedding preparations to buy my freedom. Anna told me Alexander smashed the phone. He realized that not only had I left, I had erased myself from the map. I had planned everything for a long time. He had been led into a game of chess where he was in checkmate from the first move. His pursuit reached a dead end. He was powerless. And for someone as arrogant as Alexander, helplessness is the cruelest punishment. In Paris, I cut off all contact. I got a new phone number. I only kept in touch with Anna through a secure application. The first days of winter in Paris were really cold. The cold chilled me to the bone, but it also cleared my mind. I didn't come here for tourism. I came to start anew. I rented a small, old, but cozy apartment in Le Marais, with its cobblestone alleys and bakeries that smelled divine every morning. I started my new life by getting rid of everything that belonged to the past. I stopped wearing luxury brands and going to ostentatious places. I found a part-time job at a used bookstore and took on freelance translation projects at night. I started living slower, like a nun, trying to cleanse the dirty memories of the last 10 years. Life continued like this until one day I had a problem. My landlord, a grumpy-looking Frenchman, suddenly doubled my rent and threatened to evict me if I didn't pay, claiming I had breached an absurd clause in the French rental contract that I didn't fully understand. I tried to argue, but my limited legal vocabulary was no match for his cunning. I felt powerless again, weak, and easily intimidated. Anna, by message, advised me, "You have to find a lawyer. There are many Spanish law firms in Paris. Don't let them take advantage of you." And that's how I arrived at a small law firm on a quiet street, specializing in helping the Spanish community with civil matters. I entered full of anxiety. The person who received me wasn't an old, experienced lawyer, but a young man, perhaps a few years older than me. He wore a simple white shirt and thin-framed glasses. He had an intellectual appearance, but his gaze was incredibly sharp. He looked at me and smiled kindly. "Hello, I'm Matthew. Please have a seat and tell me about it." His voice was warm and deep, and his Spanish, perfect. I explained my problem. I gave him the contract full of French jargon. He quickly read it and then looked up, staring directly into my eyes. "He's defrauding you." "I know," I stammered, "but I don't know what to do." Matthew didn't say much. He picked up the phone and called my landlord directly. I didn't understand everything he said in French, but I perceived the firmness, the determination, and the clear references to articles of law. His voice wasn't loud, but it was full of authority. The call lasted barely 5 minutes. Matthew hung up, adjusted his glasses, and smiled at me. "Solved. He won't bother you anymore. He says it was a misunderstanding." I was astonished. Only 5 minutes. "How much? How much do I owe you?" Matthew shook his head. "It's nothing. We help each other as compatriots." But he looked at me. His gaze was warmer. "Next time you go to sign something, bring it to me so I can take a look. Don't let them take advantage of you like this." He gave me his business card. I took it, feeling deep gratitude. It was the first time in a long time that I felt protected. Not a possessive and condescending protection like Alexander's, but a protection based on respect and professionalism. We became friends after that. Sometimes we had coffee at the bookstore where I worked. We talked about books, about Paris, about dreams. He never asked me about my past. He was never curious about why I had fled alone here. He just listened. And by his side, I felt that my soul, which had been broken into 1,000 pieces, was slowly beginning to heal. 3 months passed. The winter in Paris was freezing, but work and warm coffees with Matthew gradually brought peace to my heart. I had gotten used to a new rhythm of life, making my own decisions. The past in New York seemed distant, blurry like a nightmare. I started to think I might never have to hear those voices again. Until one night, returning to my apartment after work, while preparing a simple dinner, my secondary phone, the only one I used to communicate, suddenly rang. An unknown number, a prefix from New York. My heart clenched. Only Anna knew this number. I hesitated, but finally answered, "Hello?" On the other end of the line, silence for a few seconds, only heavy, tired breathing. And then a voice I once thought I would never forget, but that now sounded strange, aged, and broken. "Erica, it's Catherine." I froze, the phone cold in my hand. I didn't say anything. All my emotions were frozen. "Erica, don't hang up, please. I beg you. I know you hate me. You hate Alexander. But forgive me." She started crying, a heartbroken and pathetic sob on the other end of the phone. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice from trembling. I was no longer the weak girl from before. "Why are you calling me, ma'am?" I had called her Mom for 10 years, but the word ma'am that came out of my mouth at that moment was light but sharp as a knife. Catherine seemed to stop because of that address. Then she cried, her sobbing getting louder. "Erica, come back, please. Come back to save Alexander. He is dying." I frowned. What new trick was this? "I don't understand what you're saying." Since everything happened," Catherine sobbed. "He lost everything. The shares, the company. He locked himself in his room. He doesn't eat, he doesn't drink, he only drinks alcohol. Erica, he's destroying himself. The doctor says he has severe depression, and—" She took a deep breath and said between sobs, "Yesterday, they found him in the bathroom. He tried to do something crazy. They took him to the emergency room. The doctor says he has a severe digestive hemorrhage and acute pancreatitis. He might not survive." I remained silent, leaning against the cold wall. I imagined the scene, the arrogant and self-assured man from before, now prostrate in a hospital bed, struggling to breathe. "Erica, my daughter," Catherine pleaded. "He's in a coma, but he keeps calling out your name. He keeps saying, 'Erica, I was wrong.' The doctor says maybe only you can save him. He no longer wants to live. I beg you, Erica, as if I were asking you on my knees, come back to see him one last time. After all, it was a 10-year relationship. Come back just once. If something happens to him, I won't be able to go on living." Her pleas echoed in my small room. The winter wind of Paris whistled outside. 10-year relationship. She still had the nerve to mention those 10 years. I looked out the window. Snow had begun to fall coldly. I didn't feel pity. I didn't feel pain for him. He wasn't dying of love. He was dying from the collapse of his ego, from losing everything. I heard Catherine continue crying on the other end of the line. I didn't say a word. I silently pressed the button to end the call. Catherine's call, her tears and pleas haunted me for days. I tried to get it out of my head, telling myself it was no longer my problem. I hung up decisively, hoping it would be the last time I had to hear that voice, but I didn't know that my silence, my rejection, would push her to make an even crazier and more twisted decision. Much later, when I returned to New York, it was Anna who told me the whole story of that tragicomedy. Anna, my best friend, didn't just comfort me from afar. She secretly asked an acquaintance who worked at the hospital to monitor all of Catherine's family's movements. She feared that in their desperation, they would do something against me or use the media to defame me again. And what she discovered surpassed anyone's imagination. Anna told me that after I hung up on her, Catherine became completely desperate. Alexander was still in a deep coma. His condition worsened because he didn't want to live. In her desperation, while flipping through an old family photo album, she remembered something. She remembered my hometown. She immediately took a car and drove there to a small town hundreds of miles from the city. She didn't go to apologize to my parents or light a candle for my father. She went to find Laura, my distant cousin, my uncle's daughter. Laura and I weren't very close. My uncle's family had many financial difficulties and lived a very secluded life. But the most important thing was that Laura resembled me by 60 or 70%, especially her eyes. Made up and seen briefly in dim light, it was easy to mistake her for me. Catherine arrived at my uncle's house, a humble one-story house in a narrow alley, with the haggard appearance of someone who has lost everything, but unable to hide the air of someone who has lived in luxury. She went straight to the point. She placed a check for $50,000 on the worn wooden table. Anna said that was her offer. "I need Laura to help me with something. She just has to pretend to be Erica, go to the hospital and say a few words of encouragement to Alexander. As soon as he recovers and wants to live, this $50,000 will be for you and your family." Anna told me that my uncle's family was very poor. My aunt and uncle had worked hard all their lives. Laura had only finished high school and had stayed home helping her parents. They had never seen so much money together. $50,000 was a figure they wouldn't dare to imagine in their wildest dreams. They looked at each other with a mixture of fear and temptation in their eyes. They had vaguely heard that I had betrayed Alexander, that I had abandoned him on the wedding day. They thought perhaps I had made a mistake, and that this was their chance to mend my error and at the same time help their own family. Laura hesitated a little. She was afraid. But Catherine knelt down and started crying, pleading, "I beg you, child, save my son. If he dies, I won't want to live either. You just have to say, 'Honey, cheer up, I'm back with you.' Just that. You'll be saving a life." Finally, faced with the enormous sum of money and Catherine's desperate pleas, Laura nodded. Catherine, relieved, immediately gave her a large amount of money to buy clothes. She took her to the city, to the hairdresser, and gave her a soft, wavy hairstyle, identical to mine. She even hired the same person who did my makeup on the wedding day, asking him to make up Laura to resemble me as much as possible. When Anna told me this, I felt a chill. That mother, in her own obstinacy, was capable of resorting to any trick. She didn't care if it was right or wrong, if she humiliated Laura or offended me. She just wanted her son to wake up. She had turned my pain and betrayal into a role and hired a stranger to play it. That afternoon, they took Laura to the hospital. She was wearing a beige knitted dress that I used to wear often, and in her trembling hands, she held a fruit basket. She nervously and fearfully entered the VIP room, where Alexander was in a coma, surrounded by endless machines. I asked Anna how Laura felt at that moment. Anna told me, according to a duty nurse she had bribed, that Laura was so scared her face was white as paper. She was a simple girl from the countryside who had never experienced a situation like this. Laura tiptoed into the room. The strong smell of disinfectant, mixed with the lingering smell of alcohol, created a suffocating atmosphere. On the white bed, Alexander was emaciated, his face grayish, his eyes closed. He was very different from the handsome and elegant man Laura had seen in my photos. Catherine, who was next to him, seeing Laura, hurriedly signaled her with a look of urgency. Laura, trembling, stood next to the bed and said in a voice that still retained the marked accent of her hometown, completely different from mine. "Alexander, it's Erica." Her voice was timid and scared, but Alexander, in his delirium, didn't seem to notice. He had been on the threshold of death for too long. He only heard a voice and the name Erica. Slowly, he opened his eyes, his blurred and lifeless gaze fixed on Laura. And then a faint gleam of light appeared in his eyes. Perhaps the image of Laura, who already resembled me, through the veil of delirium, fever, and sedatives, had truly transformed into mine. "Erica," he whispered hoarsely, "you've come back. Really." He made an effort to stretch out his thin arm full of IVs and grabbed Laura's hand. His hand was burning. "Erica, I was wrong. No, don't leave again." Catherine, seeing this, clasped her hands, so happy that tears sprang to her eyes. She quickly pushed Laura to sit down and signaled her to keep talking. Laura, pressured by Catherine, stammered again. She was too scared. She had forgotten the entire script Catherine had prepared for her. She could only speak instinctively. "No, I'm not leaving. Cheer up. You have to get well." It was that second sentence, that strange, trembling voice, that jolted Alexander out of his delirium. The gleam of light in his eyes faded. He squinted and stared fixedly at Laura. The fog disappeared, replaced by a terrifying lucidity. He stared fixedly at the face that was trying to smile at him. He realized those weren't my eyes. That wasn't my smile. "Who are you?" he growled, weak but menacing. Laura started and quickly pulled her hand away. I'm Erica. Don't you recognize me?" "No!" Alexander suddenly roared. A surge of anger gave him the strength to sit up and rip the IV from his arm. Blood splattered onto Laura's clothes. "You are not her! You are not Erica!" He flailed his arm, knocking the medicine tray off the bedside table. The metal clanged as it hit the floor. "Get out! Get out of here!" He grabbed the flower vase from the table and threw it at Laura. She screamed and managed to dodge it. The vase shattered. Catherine ran to hug her son. "Alexander, what are you doing? It's Erica. She's really back." "You're deceiving me too." Alexander turned. His bloodshot eyes looked at his mother. "You all deceive me. Do you think I'm that stupid? Get out! Get out, everyone!" He screamed like a wounded beast, smashing everything within his reach. The wound on his arm opened, and blood began to gush out. Nurses and doctors, alerted by the noise, rushed in. It took 4 or 5 men to restrain him and administer a strong sedative. Laura, terrified, fainted and was taken out by the nurses. When she woke up, crying, she demanded to return to her hometown immediately. She no longer wanted the $50,000. Catherine's impersonation plan had not only failed spectacularly, but almost cost Alexander his life due to the agitation. I listened to Anna's account with a sense of coldness. I didn't feel sorry for Alexander. I only saw a person who, consumed by falsehood, would eventually be destroyed by that same falsehood. The fact that I hung up on Catherine and the disastrous failure of the impersonation plan seemed to drive her to the limit. She knew I was her only hope and began a campaign of psychological terrorism against me. She no longer called me because she knew I wouldn't answer. She used unknown numbers to send me voice messages through applications. At first, they were tears and pleas detailing Alexander's critical state, appealing to our 10-year relationship. Since I didn't respond, the messages turned into insults and curses. "You are a heartless monster, a viper. If Alexander dies, it will be your fault. If you don't come back, you will regret it your whole life. You will never be able to live in peace." Worse, she started sending me photos. Photos of Alexander in the ICU, emaciated, pale, surrounded by tubes. Photos of the wounds he had inflicted on himself in his fits of madness. Those images didn't soften me. They only disgusted me. She was using her own son's fragile life as a weapon to hold me, to torment me. I started having insomnia. At night, in the bookstore, I could no longer concentrate on translations. The slightest sound of a message notification made me jump. I became irritable, tired, and Matthew noticed. He wasn't the type of person to pressure with questions. He was simply silently by my side. He would prepare me a cup of hot tea when he saw me tired or just sit with me in silence. One night, after another jolt from a horrible photo, I couldn't take it anymore. I buried my face in the table, my shoulders shaking. I told him everything: the 10 years of engagement, the night before the wedding, the will, the twin pregnancy, and the daily harassment. Matthew listened without judging, remaining silent until I finished, until I looked up. With red eyes, he looked at me with a firm and warm gaze. "Erica, running away is not the solution." I looked up at him. "Then what should I do? I don't want to go back." "You are letting them control your emotions," Matthew said, his voice deep and clear. "Even half a world away, they are manipulating you with guilt and fear. They will never leave you alone if you don't cut that thread yourself." "Cut it?" "Yes," he nodded. "Avoiding them only makes them think you still care, that it still affects you. The more silent you are, the more they will insist. You have to face them once, make everything clear, and end this once and for all. You have to show them that you are not afraid, that you don't regret it, and that you no longer care." I hesitated. Going back to that place, facing that person, the mother who once loved me but also ruthlessly deceived me. I wasn't sure I had enough courage. As if reading my thoughts, Matthew gently placed his hand on mine. His hand was warm. "You don't have to go alone." He looked at me and smiled. "I'll go back to New York with you." I was stunned. "Matthew, but what about your work here?" "I can work remotely," he smiled. "Besides, the home office branch also needs me to resolve some pending matters. I can't let the woman I love face the storm alone." The woman I love. His words made my heart, which had turned cold as the ice of Paris, suddenly feel warm. He was right. I couldn't run forever. I had to go back. Not for Alexander, not for Catherine, but for myself. I needed a clear ending to truly start a new life with this man. "Agreed." I firmly nodded. "I'll go back." A flight of more than 10 hours took me back to the city I thought I would never step foot in again. 3 months is not a long time, but enough for everything to feel strange. Or maybe it's that my heart had changed. The air was still hot and suffocating, very different from the sharp cold of Paris. Matthew dragged his suitcase beside me. His calm and solidity gave me strength as I prepared for a battle. We went to the hotel. I used a completely new phone number to call Catherine. On the other end, she answered instantly, as if she had been waiting for this call for the past 3 months. "Hello? Who is it?" "It's me, Erica," I said calmly. She gasped and then cried out. Her voice was distorted with joy. "Erica, you're back! Where are you? Come to the hospital right now. Alexander—" "I won't go to the hospital," I interrupted her coldly. "I've come back to make things clear. Let's meet somewhere, just you and him. If I see anyone else or any journalist, I will leave immediately." She stammered, probably surprised by my firmness. Okay, then come to the greenhouse on the outskirts. That place is quiet. No one will bother us. I'll take him there." She hung up hastily. The greenhouse on the outskirts. I knew it. It was a luxurious high-tech agriculture project that Alexander's group had invested heavily in, a symbol of status. Matthew drove me there. He stopped at the main entrance without turning off the engine. He would wait outside. "Erica," he looked at me, "if anything happens, you just have to call. Or if you don't send me a message in 5 minutes, I'll go in." "I will," I nodded gratefully. "It will only be a moment." I got out of the car and walked alone towards the gigantic greenhouse that reflected the dazzling summer sun. I walked through the automatic door. Cold air with an aroma of plants and damp soil enveloped me, and then I gasped. Before me were no rows of organic vegetables or high-tech melons. Before me was an entire forest of pear blossoms, hundreds of pear trees in full bloom, immaculate white, their delicate petals trembling under specialized LED lights. They had turned this greenhouse into an eternal spring. I stopped on the white gravel path, surrounded by a surreal beauty, an artificial beauty forced with technology and money. I felt a bitter laugh inside. Pear blossoms, my favorite, the same flowers that witnessed his declaration of love 10 years ago. Until the last moment, he still thought love could be staged with money. He thought that by recreating a romantic scene, boasting of a wealth that perhaps was no longer his, he could move me. I heard light footsteps. Behind an ancient, meticulously pruned pear tree, Alexander appeared. If Catherine hadn't warned me, I might not have recognized him. 3 months, only 3 months. The handsome, arrogant man, always the center of attention. Now he was just a shadow. He was emaciated. His skin was grayish, wrapped in a long beige coat that was too big for him, as if he were swimming in it. His eyes were sunken, lifeless, full of red veins, but seeing me, those eyes lit up with a strange light, a yearning, a possessiveness, a terrifying joy. "Erica," he whispered, "you've come back. Really. I knew you would." He walked towards me with a hesitant step, extending his arms as if to embrace me. I instinctively took a step back. His outstretched arms froze in the air. His eyes were still fixed on me, a feverish gaze of a castaway finding a life raft. That gave me a chill. That haggard face, the long, disheveled hair. I no longer recognized the man I had loved for 10 years. He was a stranger, or a walking shadow of the past. "But you came back. That's what matters," he stumbled, trying to take another step towards me. I raised my hand, a firm gesture to stop him. He didn't dare move forward anymore. He stood there in the middle of the fake pear forest, and suddenly his legs gave way. He knelt down, the proudest man I had ever known, the heir of a conglomerate, the one who had never bowed to anyone. Now he was on his knees before me on the cold, white gravel floor. "Erica, I was wrong. I know I was wrong." He began to cry. A hoarse, broken sob, as if he had run out of tears a long time ago. "You've come back. That means you forgive me, right? I know you still love me. Our 10 years cannot be thrown away like that." I remained silent. I looked at him as if watching an unrelated play. I didn't feel pain. I didn't feel satisfaction. Only a terrifying emptiness. Seeing that I didn't react, he panicked. He crawled on his knees trying to get closer. "Erica, are you angry about Sophia? About the pregnancy?" He looked at me, his bloodshot eyes shining with a demented hope. "But don't worry anymore. I've solved it. I've solved everything." My body froze. Solved? Yes. Yes. He nodded frantically, like a child showing off his achievements. "You didn't like her, so I gave her money. A lot of money. She will never dare to appear in front of you again. She and her family have disappeared from the city." He looked at me, expecting praise. I took a deep breath, the cold air of the greenhouse filling my lungs. And the pregnancy doesn't exist either," he said with a lightness as if talking about something trivial. "The fall. That day, they were lost. Everything was lost, Erica. There's nothing separating us anymore." My ears rang. He was talking about his legal wife and his twins. He used the word solved as if getting rid of a broken object, a pile of garbage. He thought that with just a snap of his fingers, with all the obstacles gone, I would happily agree to return. "See?" He tried to smile, a twisted smile on his haggard face. "I do everything for you. I don't have the shares anymore. I don't need them. The company has collapsed. I'll rebuild it. I just need you, Erica. Come back to me, please. We'll start over, right here, in this pear garden. I promise you." I looked at him. A feeling of supreme disgust washed over me. It was worse than the feeling of betrayal. He was not human. He was a self-centered monster. My gaze must have been so cold that his smile faded. I shook my head, my voice terrifyingly calm. "Alexander, you still don't understand." I do understand," he stammered. "No, you don't understand," I interrupted him. "You are here on your knees crying. You staged this whole garden. It's not because you regret it. It's because you lament it." "I don't lament it. I regret it," he cried out weakly. "You regret being discovered?" I said slowly, word by word. "You don't regret betraying me. If I hadn't found the folder that night, if my plan had failed, right now you would be the president of the group, and I the puppet chairwoman, while you happily enjoy your other family, wouldn't you?" He was stunned. My words were like a dagger hitting him in the heart. He couldn't deny it. I continued in the same monotonous voice. "You got rid of Sophia not because you loved me, but because she was an obstacle, the proof of your failure. Do you think I'm the last asset you have left? The life raft to cling to prove you haven't lost everything? But I am not." "No, it's not like that," he stammered, panicking. I turned away. I didn't want to see that face for another second. "I came back not to hear your apologies, but to tell you that this is truly over." Seeing me turn away, Alexander's desperation turned into madness. He jumped up. His emaciated body suddenly had incredible strength. He lunged at me and grabbed my wrist, squeezing it like a vice. "No, you're not leaving. You're mine. I won't allow you to leave. I've lost everything. I can't lose you too." I tried to pull free, but it was useless. Madness had made him lose his reason. He dragged me towards him. "Excuse me." A deep, calm voice suddenly sounded from the greenhouse entrance. Alexander's hand stopped. He turned sharply. There stood Matthew. I don't know since when. He was still in his simple white shirt and dress pants, with his elegant and serene appearance. His presence in this chaotic scene was like a completely different painting. He was the complete opposite of Alexander, haggard and disheveled in his enormous coat. "And who are you?" Alexander roared, but there was already confusion in his voice. Matthew didn't flinch. He walked closer, his gaze calm but imposing, and gently but firmly, he let go of Alexander's fingers from my wrist one by one. "I would appreciate it if you would let her go." When my hand was free, Matthew placed me behind him, protecting me. He looked directly into Alexander's eyes with the same polite voice. "Hello, I'm Matthew. I'm Erica's fiancé." Fiancé. Those two words were like the final hammer blow that shattered Alexander's last hopes. He looked at me, then at Matthew. He took a step back, and then another. "Fiancé?" No, it can't be. He shook his head as if he didn't believe what he was hearing. He looked at me, his gaze shifting from madness to absolute despair. He clutched his chest, and a violent coughing fit shook him. He coughed so hard he bent over double, and then he spat out a mouthful of blood. The dark red blood splattered onto the white petals covering the ground at his feet. He collapsed, his eyes still open, staring fixedly at me before losing consciousness. The image of Alexander falling, coughing blood, happened right in front of me. A part of me, perhaps the instinct from 10 years of relationship, wanted to run to him, but Matthew stopped me. "Don't go. Our work here is finished." He was right. I wasn't a doctor, and I was no longer anything to him. Matthew took off his jacket and put it over my shoulders, covering the tremors I was trying to suppress. He took my hand, a firm hand, and helped me walk. We walked past Alexander's convulsing body without looking back. His weak groans could be heard behind us, mixed with the soft music that still played automatically in the greenhouse. As we were about to leave, a figure blocked our way. It was Catherine. She was no longer crying or pleading as she had on the phone. Now her face, which had aged 10 years and 3 months, was disfigured by rage. She had just seen her son fall. "Stop!" she screamed in a shrill voice. "You are a demon. Are you happy now? Do you see what you've done to him? If something happens to him, you'll be happy. You are very cruel, Erica." She raised her hand, a thin, wrinkled hand, to slap me. But Matthew stopped the slap in mid-air. His hand grasped Catherine's wrist, holding it firmly. "Ma'am, please, a little respect." Matthew's voice was still calm, but cold as steel. She tried to pull free, but couldn't. She turned to me, continuing her curses. "You brought your lover to kill him?" I signaled Matthew to release her. I took a step forward in front of Catherine, in front of the woman I once called mother. "You say he is like this because of me?" I asked. My voice was equally icy. "Of course you did," she cried. "You abandoned him, and now you come back to torture him." I looked directly into her eyes. Those eyes that once looked at me with love now only reflected hatred and obstinacy. "It's his own fault," I said clearly. "And yours, ma'am." "What? What are you saying?" She was stunned. "He is a traitor. And you," I growled. "You are his accomplice. You knew everything. You knew your son was a bigamist. You knew he had a child with Sophia. But you still came to the hotel to see me. You put the family bracelet on me, and you made me promise to trust him. Why did you do it?" I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "For our love? No. For the will, for the immense fortune. You were afraid that I would cancel the wedding, and your son would lose everything." Catherine's face turned waxen white. She stepped back. I had hit the mark. "You covered up his deception," I continued. "You used me as a tool for your son to get the inheritance. You even had the cruelty to look for someone to impersonate me, a cheap farce. You never truly considered me your daughter. That he is like this is his punishment. And you, seeing your son like this today, that is the price you pay for your cover-up and your greed." I have nothing more to say. I took Matthew's hand. "Let's go." "Stop! Come back here!" We left, leaving behind Catherine's hysterical screams, Alexander's groans from the pear garden, and a past of 10 years of lies. When Matthew and I got into the car, I sent a single message to Anna. "Call an ambulance to the greenhouse on the outskirts, Alexander de la Torre." The car started, taking me away from that place forever. Years later, Paris welcomes winter with light white snowflakes. Matthew and I are married. We have a quiet life. It is not as luxurious as my past, but it is warm and full. I have opened a small used bookstore in an old alley, specializing in Spanish and French literature. Matthew continues with his work as a lawyer. He is now a respected voice defending the Spanish community abroad. One Saturday afternoon, with a gentle snowfall, Matthew and I take a stroll after closing the bookstore. We walk hand in hand. He enters a Latin products store in the 13th arrondissement to buy some spices my mother from New York asked him for on the phone. I wait outside, huddled in my beige wool coat. Across the street is a small restaurant with warm, bright lights. The sign says, "Traditional Pho, Taste of Home." The aroma of broth, star anise, cinnamon, and cardamom floats down the cold street. A nostalgic smell. The place is full, both with Vietnamese expatriates seeking a little warmth from their homeland and curious tourists. I look curiously through the large window fogged up by steam, and then I freeze. The man standing behind the counter, laboriously cutting thin slices of beef with speed and precision. He is much thinner. His hair has gray streaks. His back is slightly hunched. He wears an apron and works diligently, without distractions. There is no trace of the arrogant young millionaire, the dazzling air of yesteryear. Just at that moment, as if a premonition, he looks up. Perhaps he feels someone is staring at him. Our gazes cross through the fogged glass, across the dense traffic, across almost a decade of hatred and pain. He stops, the knife still in his hand. In his eyes, I no longer see madness, possession, or even hatred. Only a deep fatigue, an acceptance of his fate, and a surprising serenity. I also feel calm. My heart is at peace, like a lake on a windless day. I no longer feel hatred or disgust. He is just an old acquaintance in a very distant place. Matthew comes out of the store, puts his arm around my shoulders, and gives me a bag of warm ginger candies. "You're cold, my love. I bought you this to warm you up." I smile and shake my head. I take his hand. I turn around without looking back at the faux restaurant. He has found a way to move on. So have I. He has probably paid for all his mistakes with the rest of his life. The past, however painful, is ultimately just the past. He has stayed on the other side of the street, wrapped in the hot steam of a bowl of soup in exile. Matthew and I continue walking together towards the warm yellow lights at the end of the street, where our home awaits us. Money and false pride are indeed a double-edged sword when greed and lies are allowed to take control. Wealth and prosperity turn into a calamity. The law of karma never forgets anyone. A woman can only truly own her life when she owns her economy and dares to let go of the past. The greatest revenge is not to destroy the one who hurt you, but to forgive. To forgive not because they deserve it, but because our soul deserves to be at peace.